All right, so this is a video that for the longest time I was not planning on making just because it was kind of a sensitive area for me, but I'd say that I'm finally like getting over it in terms of like bottling it up and I feel comfortable now talking about it. And that's what I learned at Special Forces Assessment and Selection. So for non-military people, what that is a like tryout process. It's 21 days where regular Army soldiers or anybody whether they be from the regular Army, whether they be from another elite organization like the 75th Rangers, or whether they be from the Marine Corps as well, like a lot of different kinds of military personnel can come in and try out for the organization known as Special Forces, aka the Green Berets. And what people often get confused is that they often think that Special Operations Forces and Special Forces are the same thing. They are not. Special Forces Green Berets are a part of SOF. SOF is like the broad term encompassing all elite organizations, including the Green Berets. But that's more of an umbrella term. Special Forces are the actual organization underneath SOF. But anyways, yeah, a bunch of military personnel can come in and try out. If selected, they can actually go through what's called the qualification course. And then in the qualification course, it can be anywhere from like a year to 2 years, maybe even 3, depending on the job. And then, upon completion of that, you're officially a Green Beret or Special Forces soldier. But that's the quick spiel on what that is. And I want to talk about the biggest key thing I learned while at selection, the trial process, which is 21 days. And quick disclaimer is very important. Quick disclaimer. I am not giving advice on how to pass it, on how to physically prepare, and how to be successful. I'm not going to go into that at all because I myself was not successful. Was not a Green Beret during my service. So I'm not going to talk about that on preparation, on advice, on tips, none of that, because that's not my lane. And I'm going to leave that to actual Green Berets to discuss that. There are two that I followed that I thought were really good. One of them is called Jay Dorleus, and another one's Buck Rogers from FNG Academy. I'll link both of them in the description in case anyone is curious. They're really good. So I'll leave that to guys like them. So that's the disclaimer. Now, as for the reason why I'm making this video is because even though it wasn't successful, I'm more focused on the process and not the destination. And I think in the process of training for it, I spent about 5 to 6 months training up for it, going through it, and then reflecting on those experiences, I think have made me so much better as a person, as an individual, and I've grown a lot thanks to those experiences. And for that reason, I'm very content with myself for how I reacted to those setbacks and being more focused on the process. And I think the key lessons that I learned while being there are worth sharing to other people. So, what is that key lesson? The key lesson that I got out of that was to don't be a lone wolf. Don't be isolated. That is the biggest thing that I got from that. And there's other forms of media that touch on this, I think, better than I can explain it. The first one, I'll link this to in the description, is a book called The Way of Men by Jack Donovan. It's a really good book. I highly enjoyed it. I read it myself a few times. And this movie called Rise of the Planet of the Apes, it's a very popular movie where the leader, Caesar, the leader ape, he tells the other apes that one ape is weak, but apes together are strong. And that's the biggest lesson, is that you're not going to make it if you're isolated, like I was, and if you're very to yourself, very alone. What happened to me a lot, multiple times, is when you're there, a lot of guys will naturally segregate themselves into little groups. Like for example, like officers, they'll just hang around with officers, right? The 18 X-rays. I will hang out with 18 X-rays. The I guess like senior enlisted will hang out with senior enlisted. Like guys naturally segregate themselves, and I really wasn't a part of any of those groups. I would a lot of times just keep to myself on my bunk, just sitting there, or if we were outside, I would just find a place to sit and just chill by myself. So I was too in my own head and isolated at that time. I didn't really make any close connections or friends while I was there, and that's the biggest thing that I would do differently. And the biggest takeaway that I got from that experience was to not be isolated, to create connections and have other people to lean on and who can lean on you. Because one of the key things about special operations in any elite organization is the importance of teamwork, of working together, because only together are you going to accomplish the task. So that's the big takeaway that I wanted to cover for that. To expand on that, the book Way of Man goes into a concept known as the concept of the gang, and not in a negative form of like, oh, gang violence or nothing, but the concept of creating a small tribe. One thing that I highly recommend is when you're there, assuming if you go, right, is to either join a small group of guys like who have created their own little clique, or create a clique yourself. Because I don't think you're going to be successful if you just keep to yourself, if you stay by yourself the entire time. I don't think you will be. And if you try to join a clique, you might get rejected. Like, for example, of me, I was a junior NCO at the time. If I joined a group of a bunch of officers, I might get rejected, but that doesn't fucking matter. Who cares? Move on to the next. Or you could create your own clique by striking up a conversation with one guy and then maybe like inviting other people to join in on your conversation. And then little by little, you create those connections, create that bond. And what's really important is to not focus on like, oh, I want to get good with these people so that I can get positive peer review. Not that. You don't want to have it be superficial, but just focus on creating genuine human connection while you're there to establish that trust, because trust is so important. Without trust, the team is going to fail. It's going to fail. So I would say do that. One other concept that I think is so important is the concept of other people earn your tab for you. You don't earn it for yourself. The guys around you earned it for you. And same with the dude next to you. He didn't earn his tab. You and all the guys with him earned the tab for him. You guys earn the tab for each other. I think without that mentality, it's just not going to work. Whether in selection or whether if you somehow get on a team, that lone wolf mentality is just not going to work. You're going to set yourself up for failure. I think, and this might be an unpopular opinion, but I think by ignoring cadre, and for context, right? So during the last week of selection, there's what's called team week. In team week, you get assigned in like 15 to 20 man teams, and you guys have to accomplish all of these physical tasks that are very difficult. And you have a cadre assigned to each team to evaluate each guy within the team. And a lot of people I noticed during that experience would get in their own heads, myself included, right? Because I was too isolated, would get in their own heads about, oh man, the cadre is looking at us. What should I do to look good? What can I do to be in good favor? They would just constantly be thinking about what's going through with the cadre. And I think by ignoring the cadre, because they're not anybody special, they're not any different from you and I don't think they're these like gods that they often get pedestalized to. By ignoring the cadre and just focusing on, hey, what can I do to make the guy next to me, his life a little bit easier? What can I do to make the team's life easier? What can I do to get this mission done? whatever it is that I'm doing in this specific moment, what can I do to increase our efficiency, to increase the chances of us accomplishing the missions successfully? And what can I do to establish trust between every guy on my team to bring value to others and to be an asset? I think by, and this is a weird paradox, right? By ignoring the cadre, by acting like they're not even there and not pedestalizing them and just focusing on doing your job, in that way you actually stand out to cadre by just doing everything you can to be an asset. And I think, and again, I'm not cadre, right? I'm not somebody who can, tell, oh, this is what they're looking for or what. But I do notice patterns. I'm very good at picking up on patterns and just understanding human psychology, and that all of these organizations, whether it be special operations, whether it be that elite tech job, whether it be that elite school, they're all generally looking for the same things in their candidates, in their applicants, in the people that are trying to break in. And they need somebody who has that team mentality and can establish trust and overall get the job done. So that's the biggest takeaway that I got from that, is to not be isolated, create bonds, create connections, create trust, because only through trust and through believing in the guy next to me and he believing in me and us believing in each other, only together are the team going to be successful, is the team going to be successful in doing what it's assigned to do, no matter how hard it is or how impossible a task. Only together and focusing on creating value for each other is the team going to be successful. That team cohesion is so important. And you can look this up on YouTube, like videos of Team Week. The teams that fall apart and just go complete ape shit are the ones where the guys just don't trust each other. Every guy is just trying to make himself look good, and they get frustrated at each other. And the ones that do the best are the ones who just have faith and trust and belief in each other, and who just, they don't focus on the cadre. They're not focused on, am I increasing my own chances of getting selected? No, they're just like, this is the job that we got to do, and this is how I'm going to help the team accomplish that task. So that's the biggest thing. I think a lot of times the lone wolf gets popularized a lot in media, like for example, like the Rambo movies or the John Wick movies, James Bond too. And don't get me wrong, those movies are so cool. I love them. Especially John Wick. I'm a huge fan of the John Wick movies. But that's just not reality. That's not how reality actually works. The lone wolf dies more often than, like very, very often, 99% of the time, dies by itself. It can't make it on its own. And the tribe collectively needs every person doing their best to provide value to the tribe to succeed. So that's the biggest takeaway that I got, was just how important it is to create connections, to not be outcome focused on, oh man, what can I do to impress the cadre, and just focus on providing value to the men that are with you and doing whatever you can to be an asset to the mission. And there's several ways you can be an asset. You could be the guy that's super fucking strong and can just carry all the heavy weight. Like, hey, I got you, bro. I'll carry that for a little bit. Or you can be like the guy that's super good at knots. You could also be the guy that's super good at putting shit together, and like, because you guys have to build apparatuses. You could be the guy who's super good at that. There's different ways to provide value, and you got to find a way to be an asset. So that's the biggest takeaway I got from that experience. I hope anybody watching this got some value over what I've said, because I think it's an extremely important concept. And it's been a pleasure to talk about this. So that's all I got for today.